A big shout out to Ted Wheeler, America's savior. Ted Wheeler might seem like an ineffectual, cowardly, folk-woke mayor of Portland, Oregon. Sure, he's coddled Antifa and allowed them to prosper in the city. And it is true that downtown Portland does look like a war zone, with local business windows smashed in, graffiti everywhere. It's been looted, livelihoods have been destroyed, massive numbers of people have lost their jobs because the businesses aren't open. I'll even grant you the fact that the local suburbs have been invaded by Antifa/BLM shouting on bullhorns at all hours of the night, demanding that people get out of their homes and join them.
Wake up! Wake up, motherfucker, wake up! Wake up, motherfucker, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up, motherfucker, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up, motherfucker, wake up!
Sure, federal officers were blinded by high-powered lasers defending a multi-million taxpayer-funded courthouse, and Wheeler blamed the riots and the nightly attempts to burn down said courthouse on the presence of the federal officers. Yes, for unhinged lunatics, the presence of federal forces there to protect is a reason for destruction and hatred. And yes, finally, someone was killed in Portland last night. You have to realize, give them credit, it took 90 nights for this to happen. And it is true that Antifa and BLM celebrated because it was a Nazi, which of course they labeled him, despite the fact that they know nothing about him. And yes, Ted, I know like a master chess player that you were sacrificing all these people, all these livelihoods in the name of wokeness, in the name of the fact that you're a pretty awful leader, possibly on the Chinese payroll, using your position as ultimate chief of police of your city and your decision, therefore, to stand them down, and that you meant with your actions to divide our nation. And I weep, I truly do weep for the unneeded sacrifices of these people, for the citizens of Portland who were once proud of their beautiful city, for the business owner who worked his whole life to set up shop, who will never get back what he lost, never be able to reopen, for the growing animosity between people in our nation and in Portland, for the man who needlessly lost his life last night due to your feckleness. And it might seem that I'm condemning you, and to some degree, that is true. But I also believe that our nation owes you a great thanks. You, along with Jenny Durkin of Seattle, have allowed your cities to serve as a petri dish for what happens when we institute your horrific, ineffective, and unworkable ideas. You have successfully demonstrated what happens when you remove centralized law and order. You get looting, murder, warlords stepping in to the power vacuum, and anarchy. When you boil a frog, you turn up the heat slowly. That's the plan. Instead, in your zealousness to virtue signal, to show your wokeness, to be accepted by the mob that has rejected you, by repeatedly refusing federal troops offered to help quell the violence and to establish order in your city, because you felt the need to demonstrate how much enmity you have for our president in your heart, your ambition to climb to the heights of the leftward hierarchy, the leftward circles, have helped lay bare the evil of the movement. Rather than doing your part in boiling America slowly, your desire to be the one to claim credit for turning up the heat and ultimately destroying our great nation has awakened the nervous system of the eagle that you were trying to boil. For this and this alone, America owes you thanks for ineptitude and your stupidity. Portland is the canary in the coal mine that's keeled over, dead. And alarm bells all over America must be ringing, lest we follow your city into the death spiral of the toxic hatred which you have supported. And if you are consumed, like Robespierre during the French Revolution, by the same poisonous ideology you allowed to fester, I assure you, no one will tear up. No one will shed a single tear, least of all the hateful group you pledged allegiance to